Would you like to make a project that is easy and quick and uses up lots of scraps, and that you end up with a piece of ephemera like this one that has writing space inside? You probably remember this from a previous video I did. I made this flip up that goes on a page. And Marilyn Martinez asked me if I had a tutorial on this piece. So today I'm making a tutorial for this piece, this piece inside. This uses up lots of scraps, and as you can see, I have a stack of scraps here. The one I'm making is similar to the one that was in the folder, in that it's mostly neutral colors. And I have sort of laid out what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to try to just slide it aside so I can remember where I was with it, and then we'll start gluing things down. This is just a book page out of a novel. It's about 5.5 by 8 inches, and it doesn't really matter what size it is. It just depends on what you want to do. What I'm going to do is glue these pieces down, and I'm going to start with the biggest ones on the bottom, and I probably will trim the top edge, so I'm just going to let that go up that way, and if I decide I like it the way it is and a little taller, I can just leave it. I'm using Elmer's Craft Bond Extra Strength glue stick, and I'm getting out a piece of junk mail to glue on so I don't have glue everywhere. So what you need for this is really just some scraps, some book page, or whatever you want to glue it to. You could just use other kinds of paper to glue it to have that substrate inside it. Like magazine pages or anything like that would work. And scissors probably, and maybe a knife and a ruler. But really just basic tools and supplies. Maybe some ink if you'd like to ink edges. Okay, that's the big one on the bottom. And then I'm going to put down this strip next. It doesn't matter if you just leave it going over the edge, because you can trim it all at one time, so it doesn't have to be trimmed individually to fit. Next, I'm going to glue this brown paper strip on there. You can use whatever glue you want. You can use a wet glue, a white glue, even Fabri-Tac would work. You can use that if you'd like. And you just, whatever pleases you. I would suggest laying the pieces out in a way that you think is appealing before you start gluing things down, because that way you can make decisions about, maybe you decide, oh, I'd rather have this piece on top of the other piece, or I don't like those two pieces next to each other, those kind of decisions. This is just a piece of junk mail that I was stamping some numbers on for a different project, and I just thought they would be fun to have on here, so I'm using that. Okay, that's all I'm going to put on the back part of this. I'm putting this piece up at the top in case I decide I want to go all the way across with this level right here. So I thought I would glue this down just to extend that page, and I'm going to have it hanging off there, but that'll be okay. Okay. Let's see, I had this here. I just want to see where I want to put this one. I'm going to put it where it's overlapping this a little bit. And I think I'm going to use this bottom part of it. So up to there. We're having rain today, so it's kind of dark, so I apologize if the lighting is terrible. Okay, we'll just put this down here. This one I'm doing in strips. You don't have to do it in strips. You can do it in other ways. I have some other examples I'll show you when I get this glue down, and it can be dry. The glue can be drying while we look at some other options. And I need my card to press that down a little bit. sometimes coffee dyed paper has some wrinkles in it that you may or may not like. But, you know, that's just the way it is. This is a piece of paper bag, wrinkled up paper bag that I stamped with these roses, and that didn't stamp the best, so I'm planning to put something over the top of that. But I'm going to put it here on the edge. And these wrinkles will probably smooth out a good bit when I put it down. I moved over here so I wouldn't have glue on that piece that I don't want on the top of it. Okay. I want that to go to the edge up there, so I'm going to move it on over like that. Okay, now I may have wanted to put something underneath here, so I'm going to just hold it up for a minute. This piece I need to put on in this piece. See, that has a wrinkle across it, but it will generally flatten out when you glue it down. At least enough that it doesn't stand out as being obvious. Okay. All right, and then I have this piece that I'm going to put on top. Oops. Okay. This one I may want to go under that a little bit. Or not. Maybe not. I'll put it here. Like that. Okay, and then the last piece I have is this piece of vintage or antique wallpaper. I'm not sure which it is. It's pretty old. Probably from the 50s, I'm guessing. It was in my mother-in-law's kitchen at one time. Okay. And it's been rolled up for all these years, and so it wants to curl up. I had it flattened out overnight, and it helped a little bit. And I'm just going to put it right there. Like that. Okay. Press it all down real well so it stays stuck securely. And I'm going to set it aside. We will come back to it in a moment. These are some that I worked on yesterday. And let's just start with the one that's similar to the one we're working on. What I did is I put the big pieces down. This one you can see it's more square pieces or squarish pieces, not strips like the other one was. And I put the music sheet there. And on the back I put a piece of coffee dyed paper. Now what I want to do on this one, I've put this, this was a stamped image, a ticket, and I stamped a butterfly over it, and then I fussy cut it out to make a ticket shape. What I want to do is cut this in half so that I can make a spine, and I'm going to reinforce that with a piece of fabric. Big long ruler. And I decided, I marked some places up here. I think I'm going to go with that right there so that I have more of this. This is a piece of embossed brown paper sack. I'm going to cut it here so that there's more of this on here than that is. I was kind of going back and forth about what I wanted to do, so we will do this. Get it lined up. And at one point I thought, well, I'll make it a more narrow piece and cut out the middle section there for a bookmark or something. And then I decided I didn't want to do that, so I'm just doing it this way. This is a project that I originally saw Rachel of Roxy Creations make, and she made hers where the back was shorter than the front by about that much, just enough to kind of have a tab on it. That was why I had the other mark on there, was to do it that way. We'll just have it this way where it's a little bit wider there. And first thing I'm going to do is erase my marks up here so I don't have that showing up. And I'm going to put the fabric on the outside, I think. And I'm just going to put it where it's just like the tiniest little gap there. Not even 1/8 of an inch, I don't think. So it's just about like that. I'm going to put a narrow strip on there. This is just some thin cotton fabric that I think it may have been like a sugar sack from back in the days. It was in my mother's things, and she had all kinds of scrap fabric. So I think that's what I'm going to use on there. And I'm going to tape this down with some washi tape so it doesn't shift while I'm applying the fabric. I'll use the cupcake tape. And as I said, I just want the tiniest little gap there that gives it some room to fold. Okay, there and down here. And I'm going to have to remove that tape when I get ready to glue that on. So I'm going to use Fabri-Tac on this, I think. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it down between the cupcakes, and then I'm going to glue take that tape off and glue the rest of it. I hope that made sense. I mainly just have the tape on there to keep the paper from shifting so that I can have it even like I want it to be. And we'll just put this on here. Now, you don't have to cut it if you don't want to, and if you feel like, the main reason I cut it is because this paper is thick, and if you fold it, you're going to have a pretty bulky fold there. So that was the way I solved that problem, and that may have been Rachel's idea also. I can't remember. It's been a while since I saw that video, and been a while since I made the pieces I made before. Okay, take this off. I hope you can see that. Okay. All right, we'll let that dry. And on the inside, we could put a piece of washi tape. We could put another piece of fabric on that, piece of paper over it. It doesn't really make too much difference what you want to put on there, but it needs to be something that's thin enough to bend easily. I think I'm going to put just a little piece of lace down through the middle of that. I'm going to use this one because it's softer. It will bend easier with the fold. So we'll just do this. And I'm keeping the glue on the paper here, not in the gap. And this probably isn't necessary to have both sides glued, both the front and the inside, but it just makes it a stronger hinge for your little book or little folder, or whatever we want to call this. I'm not sure exactly what it would be called. Okay, there we go. So that is that one. I'm going to put this on the cover, but first I need to cut off the extra edges. I'm going to leave this ragged at the top. I'm fine with that. This is what I put on the back of this one. It's a page out of this 1954 Southern Life Woodrow Elrod's book for a planner. I'm just going to use scissors on this and just go up against this edge with my scissors and hope that I can cut straight. No guarantees on cutting straight. And that needs to be trimmed right there, I think. And I'm going to leave that hanging down. Kind of like the way that looks. And then on this side, I've already trimmed that back a little bit. I planned for the fold to go right there on this one, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll do that later. Maybe I'll put just a little strip of music page down there just to reinforce that edge right there, that corner. I think I will wrap it around. I'm going to use this piece down here. Use this piece and glue it on this side and then wrap it underneath. I'm gonna tear this off and use this side, even though it's not coffee dyed as much on that side, but that kind of goes with this look a little better, so we'll do that. I'm going to put it on this way. That has a B flat right there, so it'll be upside down on the other side, but that's okay. If it's seen at all, it won't matter. And then I'm just going to fold this up even with this page right there, like that. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to put this on the cover as a decoration. This is one of these Tim Holtz pictures. I think it's called Photo. Let's see what it's called. It's this. It's called Photo Booth. And there's lots of strips of pictures in there. And I just used this one of this lady. This piece was a die. I cut that shape. This shape was the same shape as that. I cut that out of that scrapbooking paper. And I just put her picture in there and glued some corners so it would stay in place. And so then I'm going to put it on this lace. And I'm just going to try to get some glue on here to make the lace stay stuck. Okay. And then I'm going to put a lot of glue on the back of this so it will go through the lace, hopefully, and glue to that page. This is Fabri-Tac, and it should hold the paper and the glue together pretty well. Okay. And I think I want the frame to be kind of straight with the page, and then her picture is a little slanted there. And then here I'm gonna, you know what I may do is I may try just to score that and fold it and not reinforce it all there. That's kind of cutting that paper, so I may end up having to put something over that as well. Yep, I'm gonna have to reinforce that after all. It broke it open. So live and learn. Don't do that. This is paper tape that is for bandages and things. I think I'm just going to reinforce that with this. I'm going to cut this end off straight. It's not completely transparent, but it's a little bit translucent, so it should be fine over that. And I think I'll just go across there like that. And rub it down with my bone folder. Let's go ahead and cut this off. Okay, and then on the outside, it's going to need it also because that also tore. So we'll just redo it here too. You could also use washi tape on there if you wanted to do that. If you had some that you thought would go with your piece well. Hopefully that will solve that problem of that being cracked. I shouldn't have done that. I should have known better, but I didn't. Let's see how that does. I'm going to rub that down. And I haven't really used this paper tape enough to know how well it sticks for the long term. So you might want to put extra glue under it if you decide to use it, just to be on the safe side, so that it doesn't pop up. But it should stick, I would think. Okay. So now we have that repaired, and we have a little spine in it. If you wanted to, you could add some pages to that and just have a little booklet, which would be cute also. So that's that one. And then the last one I did was this one. I put steno paper on the back of it. And this, you can see that there's a book page underneath there, but that doesn't really bother me. I'm fine with that. I'm going to trim this off, and then I'm going to cut it where that, kind of in the middle of that, and put fabric on that one too. I'm going to trim this first, I think. I'm going to cut it here. I kind of like the edge of that vellum on that, so I think I'm just going to go on the other side of that, and whatever happens, happens. I hope I haven't confused you by kind of doing this in pieces instead of doing all the way through on one. I just did it this way because the glue needs to dry. So after the glue dries, then you can come back and do the finishing parts on it. Okay, and then I'm going to take this here. I think I'm going to do about 4 inches, and that will leave 3.5 on the back. So this front will stick out a little bit over the edge of the back. The reason I'm doing it here is because I wanted enough of that fleur-de-lis on the back, on the front, to show what it was. And I'm going to be covering up part of it with the fabric, so it may not show up too well. You can also use lace instead of the fabric if you wanted to do that, or you could use ribbon, washi tape. It just needs something to hold it together and to allow it to fold. I need to trim that a little bit because I went over it twice. And I also want to round this corner back here also. Okay. I'm going to use the, put the cupcake up there, this cupcake down here. I'm going to use the fabric on this. Okay. And this is pretty wide, so I'll come down here. That little piece right there was a die cut that has holly berries on it. It's kind of Christmas looking, but I thought it looked pretty on there to bring the white out of that, so I used it. Okay, and that's a piece of organza ribbon under there. Okay, there we go. And this one. That works pretty well to put that tape on the washi tape on there, because you can peel it off and your page doesn't move around while you're trying to get that glued down. So we got that done. Okay, now on this one, I'm going to go ahead and trim this off like that and like that. So that one is done. I have scraps everywhere, but I've used up some of them. Okay, let's see. I've got this one, and I'm going to let this dry over there. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off so you can see how it's going to look. I'm going to go ahead and trim it off so I have how big the piece is going to be. And it's the size of this page. And you don't have to make it the size of the book page that you're using. You can make it smaller or larger. And I think Rachel had made hers in a strip. In other words, she had a book page and then she added another book page, like just where that is. Whatever came next, she just glued over this and kept going so that she had a strip of these. And then she cut them in sections of what she wanted to, how she wanted to make this. See, this is bigger than the ones I've made before. These are some I made early on. And it just has coffee dyed paper in the middle of it. But it's that much narrower than this one is. So you can make them whatever size you want to make them. On the back, you can use any kind of, this is some of the things I had to put on the back. That's a piece of coffee dyed, it's like this. This is dot grid paper, and I coffee dyed it. That's one thing, and it's kind of thin. I'm okay with the thin. You may not like the thin paper. You may want something that covers up the words on the book page. This is out of a algebra and trigonometry testing book that's like a study test book that I found at the library on the free shelf. And it kind of amuses me because math is not my forte. So that's just a page out of a spiral bound notebook that's undyed. That's a piece of graph paper. That's another piece of coffee dyed. This is a ledger page. That's coffee dyed. What is that paper? It's what kids used to learn to write on, like that. So, and that really does show through. So I don't think I'm going to use that one on there. Maybe I'll use this one. I think that's what I'll do. Put those aside. I have a major mess here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this, and I'm going to put paper under it again because all my papers are getting glued together because I've used so much glue. You could sew around the edge of these too. I think that would be cute, and it would make sure that nothing's going to pop up on the edges. So that would be an idea too that you might want to consider. I think Rachel's were originally made just to make a folding tag or a folding journaling place, like that is. But you could also make it into a little booklet. I did some of those also. I'll show you the ones I did before. And let's get this glued on here. Okay, there we go. I folded this up in thirds, and I don't know what I was going to do with it, but once you glue it down, those folds pretty much disappear. And if that bothers you, you can not use that kind of folded up paper, previously folded, or decorate over the top of it. You could also collage the inside of it if you wanted to do that, but that's going to make it a little bit thicker because of the extra glue on there. A little bit not stuck right there. Okay, I'm going to let that dry for a minute, and I will show you the other ones I've done previously. I added the bird cage and the music on it. It didn't have any focal point on it, so I did that as the heart. And it just has coffee dyed paper on the inside and book page. I cut it on there, but I just used the paper from the inside as the hinge on that one. On this one, it has a bigger overlap in the back. And I put one of these butterfly stickers on the front for a focal point and a little bit of bling up there. And I put a pocket in this one with some little tag-like things in there. So that added some extra writing space. You could write all over this. That's washi tape butterflies I put on there. This one, I have a tab on the front, and I added pages on the inside, like I mentioned, that you could do. And they're just various colorful things. I put some little birds on there. And this is a tuck spot in the back with a couple of sheets in it. Thought that one turned out cute. This one is pretty plain. It has a stamped image there. It could have something else added to the front of it if you wanted to do that. And it just has pink paper on the inside. And no, that's this paper. That's just the back of that. I didn't reinforce that. And that is scrapbooking paper, and it's probably strong enough that it doesn't really have to have reinforcement. And then there's this one that has a round tab on the front, and this Tim Holtz wedding couple. And I've never understood why he has those tiny little legs, and I just put him behind this flowers, which I'm calling a hydrangea bush, to hide his misshapen legs. And on the inside, that's some scrapbook of paper that I think I put gesso on it and put some ink over it. And the back is shorter on this one too. And that's a piece of napkin on that one. So that is that's what I've done in the past. That's another Tim Holtz paper doll. And the ones we did today are this one. Just going to take that off. Like that. It's longer in front than it is in the back. And probably need to clean that up just a little bit right there. And I may put paper tape on that to reinforce it. I was also thinking about putting, this is just a scrap of some upholstery material. I thought that would make a pretty tab on it. So I think I'm going to glue that on, and I'm going to use some pinking shears to cut it. So it's kind of like what's already there. I think I want to put it on like that. It could be straighter. I didn't do the greatest job cutting that, but anyway, it is what it is. Okay. Just put that on there. All right, that's that one. And this one is still wet. I'll just put a picture of this one at the end when I add photos to this. But we'll set it here like that. I'm planning to put this on top of there, or one like it. This one with Velma on it, which has the paper tape over the hinge and the music on there. That's that one. Just to recap about how to do it, what you need is a book page. This is a book page. It doesn't even matter if that one's torn off that. You can just glue over the top of that. And then you collage on one side of it with your paper scraps. Glue them down, whatever is pleasing to you. And using bigger scraps makes it easier. If you use little tiny pieces, you're going to go crazy. That's words of wisdom from Rachel of Roxy Creations. So when you get this done, then you can cover this side with paper for a writing space, and then decide if you want to cut it or fold it or however you want to deal with the hinge, and reinforce that with washi tape or this paper tape or fabric, or just count on the paper being strong enough that it will bend without breaking, like most of these that I did. And then you can decorate however you want to decorate it. You can make it all eclectic, just make it all different kinds of colors, or you can, most of these I stayed with, that I made for this session, I stayed with theme of color. And these are much more random. Those are blue and pink, and that's neutral, but these are pretty much whatever goes. And that's the other one I did. I almost forgot about it, that I put the lace on the hinge on this side. So I hope you enjoyed that and got some ideas and it was helpful. If you have questions, let me know in the comments and I will be glad to answer them if I can, if I know the answer to it. And as always, I appreciate you watching and I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.